welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The day started like any other, with the sun lazily climbing its way into a cloudless sky, painting my small town in golden hues. I, Tom, a local mechanic, had been up since dawn, prepping for a long day at the shop. Lizzie, my wife of 7 years, was still asleep when I left, her chestnut hair spread across the pillows like a calm sea. I kissed her forehead lightly, feeling the day's potential. Since my mother's passing 6 months ago, my father, George, had been a shell of the man he once was. A widower at 60, he found the silence of the house unbearable. Lizzie had become his solace, visiting him more often under the guise of helping him through his grief. "She's a lot like your mother," he'd often say, a statement that warmed me because Mom had been the love of his life. Around noon, a sudden cancellation freed up my afternoon. I decided to surprise Lizzie with lunch, imagining her smile when I'd show up. The drive to my father's house, where she often was these days, was short, but my heart raced with excitement. The front door was unlocked. "Lizzie?" I called out, my voice echoing slightly in the spacious hallway. There was no response, just the distant sound of laughter that didn't belong to my father. Curious, I followed the sound, my steps growing hesitant as I approached the master bedroom. The door was ajar, a sliver of sight into the unthinkable. There they were, my father and Lizzie, in a compromising embrace on the bed my parents had shared for decades. My father's tool, once used to fix things around the house, now a weapon of betrayal in his hands. The image seared into my mind, a grotesque mirror of betrayal. "Lizzie?" My voice broke, strained with a cocktail of emotions I couldn't name. She turned, her eyes wide with shock, not guilt, shock at being caught. My father, scrambling for his dignity, reached for the sheets, covering what little remained of my respect for him. "How could you?" I managed to choke out, the words tasting bitter. "It's not what it looks like, Tom," Lizzie stammered, her voice trembling. "Not what it looks like." I laughed, a hollow sound. "I'm not blind, Lizzie. Or stupid. It was just." She paused, searching for an excuse among the scattered clothes and ruined sheets. "Just what?" "Comfort. You found comfort in my father's bed." My voice rose, a crescendo of rage and heartbreak. "George finally found his voice, son, I." "Don't son me. You've destroyed everything. Both of you." I turned and left, the image of their betrayal burning behind my eyes. The drive back was a blur, my mind racing faster than the engine could carry me. Betrayal by my wife was one thing, involving my father was a twist of the knife no son should ever feel. As I reached the sanctuary of my garage, the plan began to form. Lizzie had taken something irreplaceable from me, and I would return the favor. I would dismantle her life as she had dismantled mine, piece by piece. No shouting or threats, just a cold, calculated revenge. The garage, once a place of repair and restoration, now stood as my war room. She would regret the day she crossed the threshold of my trust, and she would never see me coming. This betrayal, this disgusting, painful betrayal would be her last. The following morning dawns with the weight of unresolved anger and betrayal. I wake early, the remnants of last night's revelations casting long shadows across my thoughts. The plan that began to form in my garage last night now takes clearer shape as I lie in the empty bed where Lizzie and I once shared dreams. I rise, my movements automatic as I prepare for the day. The usual comforting ritual of coffee and breakfast feels hollow now. Instead, I use the solitude to strategize. Every move Lizzie makes, I decide, will be met with a countermove, invisible yet devastating. I will hit where it hurts most, her reputation and her peace of mind. My first step is simple. I pull out my phone and draft a series of messages to our mutual friends. With calculated ambiguity, I hint at Lizzie's betrayal without revealing the shocking details. There are things you should know about Lizzie, things that have recently come to light. I can't discuss it over text, but be cautious, one reads. The seeds of doubt are sown. Next, I call her workplace. Posing as a concerned anonymous tipster, I inform her manager about a fictitious affair Lizzie is supposedly having with a competitor. I imply it affects her job performance and loyalty. It's a lie, a vile lie, but anger fuels my deceit. As the day wears on, I make a visit to the bank. I inquire about our joint accounts, setting up alerts on any transactions, preparing to sever our financial ties. The bank manager, seeing my grim determination, handles the requests with a somber nod. Late afternoon finds me outside Lizzie's favorite boutique. As I watch from across the street, she exits with a friend, laughing, her ease a stark contrast to the storm within me. I wait until her friend leaves and then approach. Lizzie, I call out, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. She turns, her smile faltering as she sees me. Tom, Save it, I interrupt coldly. I've been busy today, just like you were yesterday. Seems we both have secrets, except mine are about to unravel your life. What are you talking about, Tom? Lizzie's voice quivers, the facade of innocence cracking. You'll see. But know this, every step you take will lead back to yesterday's betrayal. I warned you once, Lizzie, never to cross me. Her eyes widen with fear as the implications sink in. Tom, please, we can talk about this. There's nothing left to talk about. You chose your path, and I've chosen mine, I reply, turning away, leaving her standing bewildered and alone. As I walk back to my car, the cold satisfaction of my actions battles with the residual love I still feel for her. It's a war within my heart, but the need for retribution guides my steps. The chill of the early evening does nothing to soothe the burning rage inside me. After confronting Lizzie, I drive aimlessly, the streets of our town blurring past as I plot my next move. With each passing moment, the plan to ruin Lizzie's life sharpens in my mind like a blade on a whetstone. I return home, my sanctuary now a command center for plotting revenge. I sit down at the computer, my fingers poised above the keyboard. I'm about to unleash a digital storm that would leave Lizzie's social world in ruins. I create anonymous accounts on several social platforms and begin posting insinuations and rumors about her character and fidelity. Watch out for those who smile too brightly, one post reads, hinting at deceit. While the digital venom spreads, I dial Lizzie's sister, Claire. We've always been close, and her influence on Lizzie is strong. Claire, it's Tom. We need to talk. It's about Lizzie. What's wrong? Is she okay? Claire's voice is laced with concern. She's fine, physically. But there's something you should know about her recent activities. My voice is heavy, weighed down by a mix of pain and anger. What are you talking about, Tom? You're scaring me. It's better if we meet. Can you come over? I ask, knowing that face to face, the impact will be more profound. Okay, I'll be there soon. An hour later, Claire arrives, her face etched with worry. I open the door, guiding her into the living room where countless memories with Lizzie hang in the air like ghosts. I recount everything, watching her face shift from confusion to shock to disgust. I can't believe Lizzie would do this, to you, to us, she murmurs, her voice breaking. I couldn't either, Claire. But it's all true, I reply, handing her copies of the texts between Lizzie and my father I had secretly taken from Lizzie's phone. As Claire leaves, her promise to confront Lizzie rings in my ears. My network of revenge grows, each player unwittingly moving according to my design. That night, unable to sleep, I decide on a more direct confrontation. I drive to my father's house, the place where the betrayal blossomed. The lights are off, but I know he's there, perhaps even with her. I knock loudly, the sound echoing ominously. George opens the door, his face pale, surprised to see me. "Tom, what are you?" "I just came to see how you live with yourself," I cut him off, stepping inside, my gaze cold and hard. "Tom, I'm sorry. Save it. I've heard enough apologies to last a lifetime," I say sharply. "You've ruined everything, Dad. How could you?" "I don't know, I was lonely, and she was there, and you thought that made it okay." My voice rises, a crescendo of rage and disappointment. "You were supposed to be my father, not my rival." "I know, Tom, I know it's unforgivable." "I'm sorry," he pleads, his eyes searching mine for some sign of forgiveness. "There's no forgiveness here," I say flatly, turning to leave. "You'll see me again, but next time, it won't just be words I'm bringing." The drive back home is silent, my mind replaying the confrontation. The gears of revenge continue to turn, each move escalating towards an inevitable end. Lizzie and my father had woven a web of deceit, and I was the spider now, pulling the strands tighter around them. Dawn breaks over a town shrouded in silence, the calm before a storm. I've spent the night pacing, plotting the final act of my revenge. Today, everything ends, the lies, the deceit, and our intertwined lives. First, I head to a local print shop, where I've ordered flyers with Lizzie's and my father's faces plastered next to words like betrayer and deceiver. I distribute these throughout the town, under windshield wipers, in mail slots, and on public bulletin boards. By the time the sun is high, their faces are everywhere, unavoidable, the talk of the town. Fueled by a relentless drive, I visit Lizzie's workplace. I've arranged for a billboard truck, displaying the same images, to park across from her office building. Her co-workers and superiors come to the windows, drawn by the commotion. Lizzie, seeing the cause of the stir, rushes out, her face pale as she beholds her new infamy. "Tom! What have you done?" she screams over the murmurs of the crowd. "Just giving you the attention you deserve," I shout back, the crowd's eyes flicking between us, hungry for drama. "This is insane. You need help, Tom." Lizzie pleads, tears streaking her makeup. "I needed a faithful wife." I retort, my voice loud, carrying across the gathering crowd, my words a dagger to her reputation. Leaving the scene, I drive to my father's house. He's there, alone, his expression one of a man who has lost everything. "We need to end this," I say as he opens the door, his eyes weary. "Tom, no more words, Dad. I know everything," I cut him off, stepping inside, my presence filling the space with tension. "What do you want from me?" he asks, resignation in his voice. "Nothing. There's nothing you can give me now," I reply coldly. "But I want you to know the price of betrayal. I want you to live with it." As I turn to leave, my father collapses to the floor, clutching his chest. The shock and stress have taken their toll. I hesitate, the lines between revenge and humanity blurred. Then I walk out, leaving him alone in his anguish, the sound of his groans fading behind me. The final act of my revenge plays out at the local bar, a place where Lizzie and I once celebrated our love. I've arranged for a band to play songs about betrayal and loss, a playlist of pain. Lizzie arrives, drawn by a message from me hinting at a possible reconciliation. As she enters, the band switches to a particularly poignant song about infidelity. I step forward, the crowd parting as they sense the climax of this town drama. "Lizzie," I start, my voice even, "this is where it ends. I brought you here, where we were happiest, to show you what you've destroyed." Her eyes search mine, desperate for a sign of the love we once shared. "Tom, can't we?" "No. We can't," I interrupt, my decision resolute. "You chose this path. Now you live with it. Alone. With those final words, I leave her standing in the middle of the bar, the music enveloping her, a symphony of her betrayal. As I walk out into the night, the air crisp and clear, I feel a chapter of my life closing. The revenge is complete, brutal, and exhaustive. Lizzie and my father are left to deal with the fallout, their lives forever marred by their choices. I move forward, the pain of betrayal still sharp, but with a newfound resolve to rebuild, away from the shadows of deceit.